celebrities went to Diddy's house thinking they was finna dance.
No.
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, he wanted me to be his acting coach.
So when he comes out of sedation, sure anybody who gets shot will tell you who shot them, right?
Buckle up, because things in Hollywood just got dangerously messy. Katt Williams is back, and this time, he's not alone. The sharp-tongued comedian is now backing some jaw-dropping claims made by none other than Terrence Howard. And guess who's at the center of it all?
No! God, please, no!
Yep, Diddy. But this isn't just another celebrity feud. This feels like the beginning of a full-blown reckoning. Here's the headline-grabbing truth. Terrence Howard sat down for an interview and didn't just speak, he detonated. He basically exposed the underbelly of Hollywood, hinting at a disturbing game behind the glitz. According to Terrance, certain celebrities are being pressured, manipulated, to give up their dignity just to make it to the top. And when he said some of them lost their man card, he wasn't being cheeky. He was warning us.
You lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things, when you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man.
This wasn't shade, this was a fire alarm, and it gets darker. He claims Diddy invited him over again and again, allegedly pretending to need acting lessons. But Terrance says something felt off. Diddy didn't want to run lines or prep for a role. There were no scripts, no cameras, just vibes, and not the good kind. The moment Terrance's assistant warned him that Diddy's intentions might have been personal, he pulled the plug, hard. If that tip-off hadn't happened, who knows how far this could have gone. And just when you think it couldn't get any juicier, Katt Williams enters the chat, and not with a whisper, with a flamethrower. Katt's been telling us for years about these strange Hollywood parties.
They canceled me for talking about Harvey Weinstein before the thing came out, but he offered to suck my penis in front of all my people at my agency. What am I supposed to do? He did all of that. I'm thinking I'm the only black person on the script. I get there, there's 3 other black guys on there. Woo. Huh.
So you wonder what they did to get
I told him no. What y'all do? And this is why when I walk in a room, heads go down.
He's spoken about wild invite-only mansion events, where what happens in certain rooms doesn't stay there, it changes people. Katt describes parties with layers. Rooms behind rooms, secrets behind smiles.
Did you go to a Diddy party? Yeah, but now keep in mind.
I'm going to.
In all fairness, there are different kinds of Diddy parties.
And now, suddenly, Terrance is echoing those same stories. That's not coincidence, that's confirmation. And get this, Katt said he turned down $50 million.
Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no.
Not once, not twice, 4 times. That's not walking away from a paycheck, that's walking away from the system. He claims those offers came with invisible strings. And Diddy's name was in the mix, repeatedly. You might remember the clip where Katt told Fat Joe, "I don't let men take me out."
I owe you a dinner, man. I obviously can't afford to get
I'm
anything
gonna tell you
else.
like I told Puffy, I don't let men take me out, sir. I'm good. I'll do no dinner.
It was funny on the surface, but now, not so funny. Then in another interview, he said he was protecting his virgin hole. And again, it sounded like a joke. But now that Terrance is backing up these stories with chilling detail, the laughter hits different. This might not be comedy. It might be camouflage for survival. And here's the real bombshell. Word on the street is that Katt and Terrance are planning a podcast together. If that happens, Hollywood's in DEFCON 1. This wouldn't be a podcast. It would be a seismic event. every week dropping names, spilling receipts, and putting the industry on trial. One fan on social media said, "Put Katt and Terrance in a podcast together and Hollywood won't sleep again." And honestly, they're right. The threat level isn't just high, it's radioactive. Of course, the internet split. Some people are brushing it off as conspiracy. Others are saying, if two respected celebrities are telling the same disturbing story from different angles, how long can we pretend this isn't real? When patterns emerge from the chaos, it's no longer just gossip, it's testimony. And let's not forget, Katt's been ahead of the curve before. He was mocked, dismissed, dragged online, and yet everything he said years ago is resurfacing in 4K clarity. What if we weren't ignoring a rant? What if we were ignoring a warning? Meanwhile, Terrance isn't backing down either. He said he walked away from massive roles, including his spot in Iron Man 2, because he refused to compromise his values. And now, his Hollywood dress agenda comments are ringing even louder. Remember Dave Chappelle on Oprah talking about being pushed to wear a dress for a skit? Eddie Griffin literally wrote it into his movie Foolish. Even Kevin Hart, who once said it never happened, ended up wearing a dress on SNL, and after that, his star skyrocketed. Is that just coincidence or part of the playbook? Here's where the tension spikes. Again, Katt believes it's all connected, and he's not alone anymore. More and more actors are starting to come forward with variations of the same story. You don't need a tinfoil hat to see the pattern, you just need eyes. They're not just dropping tea, they're emptying the whole pot, smashing the kettle, and lighting the stove on fire. And Hollywood, it's starting to sweat. So now the big question, will this podcast really happen? Will more celebs step forward once they see Katt and Terrance holding the line? Or will the machine kick in and try to silence them before they say too much? Because if Katt's telling the truth, if Terrance is backing it up, then this isn't just a scandal, it's a supernova. And the fallout, it's just getting started. Because that happened, here's what's really happening behind the scenes. And let's just say this goes way beyond Diddy's messy lawsuits. Sources close to Katt Williams are now saying that Terrence Howard's life might be in danger, and if that doesn't make your jaw hit the floor, you haven't been paying attention. Katt is flat out claiming there's a real plan in motion to silence Terrance before he spills more, and yes, he's naming Diddy. And honestly, it's not even surprising anymore, because ever since Terrance went on that podcast and exposed the industry's underbelly, he's been walking around with a metaphorical target on his back. Terrance said Diddy invited him over, allegedly under the pretense of wanting acting lessons. But when Terrance showed up, Diddy didn't want to rehearse, didn't want to go over lines, didn't want to work, he just stared at him. According to Terrance, the energy in the room shifted, and not in a good way. The vibes, off the charts creepy. Then came the moment his assistant pulled him aside and dropped the bomb. He's trying to smash. And that was it. Communication, cut, done. But what should have been a closed door is now allegedly part of something much bigger, something much more dangerous. Because Katt isn't just backing Terrance's claims, he's escalating them. He's out here warning the public that Terrance may be in real danger, not because of what he said, but because of what he hasn't said yet. And let's not forget, Katt's no stranger to calling Hollywood out. He's the one who turned down $50 million not once, but 4 times to protect what he calls his virgin hole. And every time, Diddy's name seemed to float into the picture. So when Katt says Terrance is at risk, people listen. Because this time, it's not just shade or comedy. This feels personal. This feels like war. And if you've seen Terrance's recent social media video, you already know something's off. The man didn't name names, but the tone, chilling. He was calm, composed, and very clear. If anyone had a problem with his truth, they could step up and say it like a man or be prepared for a duel. Not a metaphorical one, a real one. Where only one person walks away. That's not Hollywood speak. That's a man who feels cornered. That's a man who smells smoke and knows where the fire's coming from. This has moved from scandal to survival. And we haven't even gotten to the legal side yet. Because while all of this is playing out in the public eye, Diddy is facing federal racketeering charges. He's not just being accused of being inappropriate. The feds are saying he ran an organized criminal ring. A full criminal enterprise. If he's convicted, he's not looking at a slap on the wrist, he's looking at life in prison. And that's not a rumor, that's a federal case backed by indictments, court filings, and witness testimonies already stacking up. And it's not just old accusations either. The newest charges claim Diddy was still engaging in this alleged behavior between 2021 and 2024 after being publicly exposed by Cassie. Let that sink in. The accusations didn't stop when the headlines hit. If anything, they got worse. So now the feds are building their case, and guess who they allegedly reached out to? Terrence Howard. That alone could explain why the temperature around Terrance has suddenly spiked. Because if he knows more, if he's willing to name names, or if he's got evidence, he becomes a nuclear threat to Diddy's entire empire. Which begs the question, what does Diddy have to lose? The answer, everything. And that's exactly why Katt Williams is making these chilling claims. He says this isn't just gossip, it's a matter of survival. That Terrance could be taken out just for speaking, just for cracking open a door that was never supposed to be touched. And if that sounds dramatic, just look at the pattern. Diddy's legal team tried everything to get him out on bail. They offered $50 million in bond, secured by family, friends, and his $48 million Star Island mansion. They even paid off the remaining mortgage to clear it. Still, the judge said no. Why? Because prosecutors argued he's a flight risk, a manipulator, and a serious danger to witnesses. They basically said, if you let this man out, there's no telling what he might do. And based on what Katt is alleging, that warning hits even harder, and we're not even done. Because Diddy isn't just fighting legal battles in court, he's fighting a war in public opinion. His name is now tied to words like trafficking, coercion, intimidation, and freak-offs. His inner circle is being scrutinized, his past victims are lining up, and now even his freedom is hanging by a thread. Which brings us back to Terrance. Because if the feds really are bringing him in, even just for information, then Diddy's panic is justified. And Katt's warning may be the only protection Terrance has left. This isn't just about a podcast or a shocking interview. This is about a man possibly holding the last piece of a puzzle the world isn't supposed to see. And now that he's gone public, there's no going back. The question is, will Terrance stay safe long enough to say everything, or will the silence come before the truth ever gets out? We're watching. Hollywood's watching. And something tells us the real fallout hasn't even started yet. That's the spill from Spill Society today. The tea's boiling, the kettle's cracked, and the lid's blown off. You better stay tuned, because if these two keep talking, the secrets of Hollywood won't stay secret for much longer.